The realm. Do you know what the realm is? It's the 1,000 blades of Aegon's enemies. A story we agree to tell each other over and over till we forget that it's a lie.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back for another House of the Dragon update video. As you all know, I like to keep everyone up to date with any and everything that goes on during the off-season of Game of Thrones and all of their successor shows. Whenever I find out new information, I make sure all of you find out as well. Thankfully, there has been some updates on House of the Dragon very recently. Now, for those of you that might not know, or just don't remember, House of the Dragon will be set within the A Song of Ice and Fire universe roughly 300 years before the events of Game of Thrones. Centuries before the events of Game of Thrones, House Targaryen, the only family of dragon lords to survive the Doom of Valyria, began living on Dragonstone. It all starts with the legendary Aegon the Conqueror, creator of the Iron Throne, and it goes on to recount the generations of Targaryens who fought to hold that iconic seat, all the way up to the civil war that nearly ripped their dynasty apart. George R. R. Martin did say, if we want to learn more about this show, then we should grab some of his books, which are Dangerous Women and Rogues, and then his most recent book, Fire and Blood. So it sounds like the main event of this show could be the Dance of the Dragons, but I have also seen things that say it could be about Aegon and his sisters taking over Westeros. Honestly, either one of those options would be fantastic, but if they did an American Horror Story style show, they could do both, making each season of the show a different story altogether. As you all know, the Dance of the Dragons was a civil war during the Targaryens' reign of the Seven Kingdoms. A war of succession between Aegon II and his half-sister Rhaenyra over their father Viserys I's throne. This war was fought from 129 AC to 131 AC. And it saw the deaths of both rival monarchs and the crowning of Rhaenyra's son, Aegon III. Now, if you have not read any of the books and you have only seen Game of Thrones, then you most likely won't know who many of these characters are, but that's okay because you did not know who anyone was when you started Game of Thrones either. Although this show will be very different from Game of Thrones, it will still have all of those same ingredients that made the show so great for so long. I might actually start making videos on the Fire and Blood book, just like I am with the books in A Song of Ice and Fire. I should make a video on each chapter of Fire and Blood, that way you have a good idea of what to expect in House of the Dragon. If you would like to see those videos, let me know down below. They've actually been developing House of the Dragon for about 4 years now since 2016. This was actually the first idea George R. R. Martin brought to HBO when they began talking about making a successor show. So you know this is something George R. R. Martin really wants to see brought to life, assuming it's done right. So far, it does sound like they are on the right track. Miguel Sapochnik will be one of the showrunners, and if you don't know who Miguel Sapochnik is, he is the man responsible for directing some of the greatest episodes in television history. For Game of Thrones, he directed The Battle of the Bastards, Hardhome, and The Winds of Winter, just to name a few. That makes me think they will open up the bank for these episodes because Miguel is known for making episodes look like high-budget films. He really knows how to bring things to life on a massive scale. If he is the director for the Dance of the Dragons, we should be in for an amazing experience. George R. R. Martin, Ryan Condal, and 3 writing assistants have been creating the story for House of the Dragon. I really hope that George doesn't abandon this show like he did Game of Thrones. Since he is so focused on writing The Winds of Winter, I do wonder how often George will be able to help them write this successor show. Now, the really good news is, even though everything is still on lockdown right now, they are moving forward in the development stages of House of the Dragon. Entertainment Weekly announced they have started casting for the show. There wasn't much else said other than that, but that's good enough for me. HBO has already given the green light on the first season, so we don't even have to worry about whether the first episode is good enough to air or not. If you remember, Game of Thrones almost never became a show because of how bad its first episode was, but HBO gave them another chance to get it right, and they obviously did, which led to them ordering an entire first season. We won't have to worry about that this time because HBO already ordered 10 episodes for their first season. But anyways, now I want to go over some of the alleged leaks for House of the Dragon. Now, I don't know who or where these leaks came from, but someone sent them over to Sir Hunt's Reviews. I did notice he has been making several videos on these leaks. Now, if you were to ask me if these are real or not, I would have to say no, they are not legit. But I want to go over them anyway because that's what I have always done. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I will inform you on any information that's out there. This certainly will not be the first time I have covered some leaks that went nowhere. So, it says the very first episode of House of the Dragon is said to begin with a shot over Dragonstone. We will be able to see 6 dragons flying in the distance. Then we will hear the sound of a horn, and the scene will transition into another scene of a dragon rider landing his dragon on top of the Red Keep. The dragon rider will be none other than Prince Daemon Targaryen. He is said to be the most experienced warrior of his time. Now, besides having his very own dragon, he also has his own Valyrian steel sword, known as Dark Sister. After Daemon lands his dragon at the Red Keep, we will see him walking through the Great Hall where the Iron Throne is located. This is when we will meet the Greens. The Greens, originally known as the Queen's Party, were the faction of House Targaryen and their loyalists who supported the ascent of Aegon II as King of the Seven Kingdoms during the Dance of the Dragons and the years that followed. After the introductions, it is said that Aegon II makes a joke about Daemon, saying he looks old and broke. Then Daemon cracks a joke back at him, causing King Viserys to step in and make them stop. Now, for those of you that don't know, King Viserys I was also a dragon rider when he was younger. He actually rode Aegon the Conqueror's dragon, Balerion the Black Dread, until the dragon died of old age. Viserys never bonded with another dragon after that. Now, as this scene continues, we will meet King Viserys' wife, Alicent Hightower. She is the daughter of Otto Hightower, who just so happens to be the hand of the king. So, after we hear Aegon II and Daemon make some jokes, this is when Alicent walks into the throne room. We will see her smirk at Daemon. The next scene is said to be in the north at Winterfell. It should look very similar to what we saw in the first season of Game of Thrones. During this scene, there will be a feast held inside Winterfell's Great Hall. The feast is being held in honor of the new Warden of the North, Cregan Stark. The scene ends with Cregan Stark and his uncle Bernard speaking alone together in a room. Bernard will tell Cregan that he thinks he's not ready to be Warden of the North. He says, "The North is larger than all the other kingdoms combined, and this responsibility should be left for a man, not a boy." The scene ends when Cregan Stark leaves Winterfell to gather up all his banners to go to war against his uncle Bernard. In the very next scene, we go back to Dragonstone. In Rhaenyra Targaryen's first scene, we will see her flying on the back of a dragon. She's also flying with Laena, who is riding her own dragon Vhagar. Now Laena is the second wife of Daemon Targaryen. During this scene, Rhaenyra and Laena will be seen flying on their dragons, circling Dragonstone for several minutes. This will show us just how experienced they are at flying dragons. For them, it's like riding a bike, only in the sky. But they will eventually land on the beach of Dragonstone, where they will have a conversation. They talk about King Viserys and Queen Alicent having an anniversary that's coming up very soon. Rhaenyra says she has been invited, but she doesn't seem excited about the news. I guess she doesn't want to go, but Laena advises against it. Since Rhaenyra was invited, her not attending could be seen as a slight against her father, the king, and the queen. The scene ends with Rhaenyra leaving Dragonstone on her dragon as she heads for King's Landing. Laena had asked her to go watch after her uncle Daemon Targaryen because he will most likely get in some trouble while in the capital. The final scene of this episode shows a hooded figure walking through the streets of what appears to be King's Landing. This mysterious figure is shown standing in front of a red door. As the door swings open, we see a drunken, half-naked Daemon Targaryen standing in the room. Daemon then begins to remove the hood and robe off the mysterious character, and this is when it is revealed to be Rhaenyra. The episode ends as they are making love. Sounds really awesome. They should name the show A Game of Incestuous Relationships. Well, those are all the leaks I have so far. As I said before, I'm not sure if they are legit or not, but hey, who knows? Now, if you are wondering what we could see in House of the Dragon, let me know down below, because I can start making videos on each chapter from the Fire and Blood book. I could make at least one of those videos each week. And of course, I will continue making videos on the chapters in A Song of Ice and Fire as well. I may do it either way since House of the Dragon is still moving forward with their developments. Anyways, I hope you all liked the update video. I have already started working on another chapter video, so you will hear from me again very soon. As always, thank you for watching the video, and thank you to everyone who went over and signed up for my Patreon. I really appreciate that. It helps out a lot. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.